Hi everyone, good evening. Good evening. कैसे हैं सभी? गुड इवनिंग, वेलकम टू टुडेज सेशन। आपका स्वागत है, सभी का स्वागत है सेशन में। वेलकम टू अनअकैडमीज यूट्यूब चैनल। आज हमारे साथ टॉपर्स बैठे हैं हमारे पास और काफी इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन होगा, एक्साइटिंग बातें होगी। आपको बताएंगे कि कैसे आप भी बन सकते हो टॉपर। तो सारी जर्नी हमारे टॉपर्स की आपको बताएंगे। तो जल्दी से जुड़ जाइए, जल्दी जल्दी। गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग। वेरी वेरी नाइस टू सी यू ऑल हियर। चलिए ठीक है। ऑल राइट, तो सबसे पहले हमारे टॉपर्स का स्वागत करते हैं। लेट्स वेलकम ऑल आवर टॉपर्स एंड लेट्स कंग्रेचुलेट देम। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ह्यूज कंग्रेचुलेशंस टू ऑल ऑफ यू। ऑल ऑफ यू हैव इन फैक्ट क्लियर जेआरएफ। आप सभी ने जो है जेआरएफ का कट ऑफ क्लियर किया है, तो आपको बहुत बधाई हो। हाउ डज इट फील टू क्लियर?
It's an amazing feeling, ma'am, and it's actually the heart's just full of gratitude. You don't appreciate this moment when it is delivered to you on the first news, but I think it grows on you slowly. And events like these, like being part of all the classmates being here and meeting you, I think it helps settle the fact in.
प्रीवियस टॉपर्स टोल्ड मी, वो कह रहे थे कि मैम मैंने 4 बार रिजल्ट चेक किया। आई चेक माय रिजल्ट सो मेनी टाइम्स बिकॉज़ आई कुडंट बिलीव इट। डिड यू गाइस आल्सो डू दैट?
Um, I kept reading and rereading the last line which said qualified for JRF and assistant professor. Like I just read it like 4 or 5 times.
What about Sharon and Sanal? What did you guys do? How did you feel?
Ma'am, at the moment when I was checking the result, I saw the three words JRF, but I was checking whether there was a not in before the qualified. I understood that I qualified, and you feel a very pumped. You feel very pumped and you feel very excited. But the strangest thing was that the results came very late night. I checked at around 2:30. So I think these are the things which in life which make you humble. Like I got to know the result, but there was no one else to share the news. Everyone was
Aww.
so yeah. It was a very memorable moment. Like finally you get your hard work paid, so you feel a sense of gratification and satisfaction.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, even today, I was still looking at my that particular statement, JRF an assistant professor. Like my other friends said, the same. I kept on checking if, whether I have the word not or not. And then the day we were all waiting for the result, I was like, my all the excitement was like lost because like they kept on like the website was so much like I don't know, it was not opening. So the next day when I opened it up, I just was able to download, and then when I saw it, I was like, I don't know how to say it anymore. So I just called up my dad, and then he was so excited. He was more excited than me that morning. Yes, ma'am. It was really a very good experience. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I often tell my toppers to start with that because जो आपके emotions है ना, वो मतलब वो आप एक सबसे genuine emotion feel करोगे, और वो generally words में describe करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. It's often very difficult to describe such moments in words. And what I want over here is for you to relive that moment. आप एक बार ना वो moment फिर से जिएं जब आप याद करें. Because I believe that every topper, I generally, I'll not even use the word topper. I think success comes only after a lot of hard work. मेरे हिसाब से जो सफलता है वो बहुत मेहनत के बाद आती है. और इस वजह से मैं चाहती हूँ कि सभी आपकी स्टोरी समझें और आपको सेलिब्रेट करें एक बार, what I want, why these sessions is not only for tips and not only for others to get an insight into your story, but it is also for you to be celebrated because you deserve it. Because I have seen, I know Sakshi has been preparing with me for a long time. I know how hard all of you have worked to get here. तो जब मैंने आपके क्लासरूम में स्ट्रगल्स देखे हैं, इफ आई हैव सीन यू स्ट्रगल, सो फॉर मी दिस इज अ मोमेंट ऑफ जॉय एंड सेलिब्रेशन एज वेल दैट यू हैव रीच सो फार, कि आप यहाँ तक आए हो, ये मेरे लिए गर्व की बात है, ये मेरे लिए सेलिब्रेशन की बात है. सो आई विल बी आस्किंग सम प्रेपरेशन रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस बिकॉज स्टूडेंट्स वुड लव टू नो. मेरे हिसाब से एक स्टूडेंट को सबसे बेस्ट तब समझ आता है कि मैं गलतियां क्या कर रहा हूँ, जब वो दूसरे से सुने कि भाई मैं भी यही गलती कर रहा था. आई थिंक इट्स बेस्ट फॉर अ स्टूडेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट मिस्टेक्स अदर्स वर मेकिंग एंड हाउ दे करेक्टेड देम. सो today's session, actually, I want you to share more about, I know this is a session related to success, but I would love for you to talk about the mistakes you think you were making and how you corrected them. So we'll start off with our preparation, what our regular preparation consisted of, what our score was. I would love for all of you to tell, if you're comfortable sharing your score, what your score was. And basically, what exactly, how long did you prepare for it? Since when have you been preparing? And mostly, what did your preparation consist of? We'll start with this, and then eventually I'll ask you other questions as well.
So I'll begin with this, ma'am. The first time I even thought of appearing in NET JRF was back in 2019, 2020. And that was the time when I, without any preparation, just to check what this exam is like, jumped headfirst into it, like dove into it. And I couldn't clear it, of course, because there was no preparation. And that's something that I think a lot of students do. They want to test the waters by jumping into it, and maybe then figure out what the depth is and where you are. But I didn't correct my mistakes even after that. So there were 2 attempts before I actually came across your work in your videos. So both the times I discovered that I'm the first attempt was almost a non-attempt. The second attempt was, again, it was just figuring it out, going in very blindly, making very, like, the rookie mistakes. You don't know the syllabus, you don't know the parameters of the syllabus completely. And it almost sounds very silly at this point, being like, isn't this obvious? But there are so many resources online, your work online, to know that, okay, these are the first things you're supposed to do before you're appearing in the exam. But I'm here to talk about the mistakes, and these were like the top 2 mistakes you shouldn't make is what I did make. And then I did finally, when I decided to give a very serious attempt. So I'll say my first proper attempt was my first attempt under you as an educator, and I cleared my net in that one with 214 score, and the cutoff for JRF was 216. This was 2022, and missing it by 2 marks, it was heartbreaking, but it was so validating for me that I said, oh, I could come this close to it, and my understanding of the subject grew in that first attempt. So I said, this has to be my launching pad for the next attempt I do make, and which is what I did in this attempt. My score was 220, and I did clear the JRF this time. It was less than what I expected from myself, honestly, because being like learning from you, sky's the limit. Like, really, I think my fellow mates will attest for it. But that has been my understanding with my like 2 proper attempts under you, and it was actually my 4th attempt in total when I did clear my JRF. So here is an example of somebody who didn't clear it in the first attempt, who made the most silly mistakes possible, and I get to sit here with you and tell you about it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I think मैं highlight ये करूँगी, what stands out to me is that not once again did you complain. I've seen you clear, miss JRF by 2 marks. तो मैंने वो attempt देखा है, तब भी आपने मुझे अपना score send किया था. But बात ये है कि आपने शिकायत नहीं की. And this is something that I have noticed in all of my students who have cleared the exam so far. The thing is that when you're engrossed in learning, जब आप पढ़ने में you find value, you're not that disappointed. And see, it's beautiful that you very clearly want to say that failure is part of the journey. मेरे लिए ये भी इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हम ये क्लियरली बताएं लोगों को कि पहली बार सबका नहीं होता है. इट्स नॉट लक फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. लाइक यू सेड, यू रोट विदाउट प्रेपरेशन, सो यू वर ट्राइंग इट आउट, देन यू ट्राइड आउट अगेन. ऐसे कितने बच्चे हैं जो कहते हैं 3 बार एग्जाम दिया लेकिन स्कोर नहीं बेहतर हो रहा है, बट यू आर मेकिंग द सेम मिस्टेक्स अगेन. सो गुड थिंग इज दैट यू रियलाइज्ड योर मिस्टेक्स and then you did something different, and you worked very very hard and very well deserved. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. Mahi, you can go next.
Okay. So I got like 216 marks in my this time in NET 2023 December. This was also my first attempt for NET, and I had 64 marks in paper 1 and 152 marks in paper 2. So I'm still pursuing my masters. अभी खत्म नहीं हुई है. My masters will end in May 2024 this year, and I took up preparation in May 2023. So around, I would say, 6 months before the exam, and how I enrolled and I took a plus subscription at that time because so I'm from Delhi University, and उस time मैंने DUET का exam होता था वो clear किया था to get into DU. Now it's through CUET, and उस time I watched some of your YouTube classes to get an idea about what concepts to be sure about. So like they really gave me a lot of clarity. So जब NET का preparation करना था, I was sure that I was going to take your classes, like no left and right here and there, because like I really got a lot of conceptual clarity from your YouTube classes at that point of time. So when I took up NET preparation, मुझे पहले तो इतना सारा syllabus देखते ही बहुत intimidating लगा, because it's very very vast, and it's not one, but it's in fact 2 papers that you have to focus on. So I started with paper 2, and I started with topics that really intimidated me a lot at that time, which was research, which is now my favorite topic, thanks to all the classes and going over everything again and again. So that was very helpful, and I like started very slow कि दिन में 1-2 घंटे दिए शुरू में, ताकि consistency build हो जाए. And I don't have any unrealistic expectations from myself, because I also had college going on. I also had an internship going on, and I had some research work going on the side. So there was a lot to balance side by side. So फिर करके by the time December came, I had built up on my studying hours, and you know, I had clarity, and I touched down on all the topics for NET that I felt were important. There were some topics like research and all that जिनके lectures मुझे in fact 2-3 बार भी देखने पड़े, so that I knew I had some clarity.
तो आपने क्लियरली हाईलाइट किया कि आपकी प्रेपरेशन एक्चुअली अभी स्टार्ट नहीं हुई, वो काफी पहले से ही स्टार्ट हो गई थी. तो see, I again want to say this out to everybody that every step of your life is a preparation for another step of your life. Okay, and knowing that and realizing that is very important. मतलब it's very nice that you pointed out कैसे आपकी जो मास्टर्स की प्रेपरेशन थी वो भी काम आई, है ना. तो conceptual clarity that you gained then saved you a lot of time now. तो अगर आप अपना
Yes.
मास्टर्स सीरियसली लेते हो या मास्टर्स के टाइम पे पढ़ाई सीरियसली लेते हो, तो वो आपके नेट में भी कहीं ना कुछ रोल तो प्ले ही करेगा. और आपने ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कही है, पहला अटेम्प्ट था आपका, इट वाज योर फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट, बट यू कुड क्लियर बिकॉज यू आर नॉट हेजिटेटिंग टू वॉच क्लासेस मल्टीपल टाइम्स. आप ये नहीं कह रहे थे कि मैं तो इतनी स्मार्ट, यू नो, मैं तो ये मैं तो वो, क्यों मैं देखूं 2 बार, मैं क्यों देखूं 3 बार. यू नो, बच्चे कहते हैं मैम ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं. इट्स लाइक it's that difficult. It's there you need to, right? So understanding that okay, it's okay to watch, if I need to watch it 3 times to understand the content, then I'm going to do it. And that is how you were able to do it. So that is absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for being honest, thank you for sharing. We will hear from Sanal next.
Okay, ma'am, I actually completed my master's last year June. So after completing my master's, sudden like immediately I had the June cycle exam. It was like 10 days gap. So I prepared myself self study, but I think I lost net. I didn't qualify net by 10 marks. I scored around 166 in the June cycle. So I thought like if I prepare seriously, then I could catch up and I could qualify for the JRF. So my preparation actually started during that time. Like my first instance that I decided I could prepare, I could qualify was when I heard when I saw a YouTube video of you speaking to a topper, the June cycle topper. And if you again go back and YouTube and see that video, in the comment section there is a comment. I wrote that comment. The comment was like, "I'll come in December." It is written in Malayalam, but it was like a
Arey, you predicted the future like Simpsons does or what?
yes, like I thought like if I keep my goal like only to qualify JRF, then I think I will only qualify net. So my goal was like I need to become the topper and get invited to an interview, so I could at least qualify for JRF. So that I think,
Arey, wow.
yes. So eventually, like initially, it began like that. So the preparation time I set to was for like 6 months, then June to December. But life doesn't go according to your plans. Like I had Kerala set exam coming in June, July, so I had to prepare for that because it's quite different to how it is in net. So I prepared for that. Then I had personal issues like my grandmother passed away, so again my preparation dragged on, and it eventually came to like the time gap was like 3 to 4 months. So I thought to myself like I cannot be like I couldn't afford to see the live classes because already by that time uh, 2 to 3 units were covered up. So I thought I need to move more strategically. So I mostly preferred the recorded classes so I could manipulate the time little and catch up with the portions. So mostly classes went by that, and like I managed to qualify JRF in my category, and my score was 202. In paper one, I scored 62, and in paper two, 140. And when I analyze my marks now, I feel like that preparation time, if I could have prepared even before, like 6 months, if I got that time, and also the way I prepared, like ma'am said, the mistakes, I don't think my preparation is the ideal or the best. I feel what I can share is the mistakes that I did so that learner can uh, like understand these other issues. So mostly when I started preparations, I thought like I should simultaneously prepare with both paper one and paper two. But circumstances was that like I need to catch up these portions of paper two. So I like covered these paper two portions very quickly, so that I forgot about the paper one. So my paper one preparation was like around 1 month or something. So when I look back now, I think I was like I feel like I could have got 10 or more marks more if everything went into place correctly. Or so those who are preparing, they need to prepare these things in advance. Like these things eventually will happen somewhere or the other. So you need to be planned. You need to have that discipline. You need to work hard. So yeah, that is it.
Thank you so much. It's been nice to hear about your story. I had not even noticed, it's such a beautiful feeling. Must be a beautiful feeling that one day you commented in the comments saying that, one day I'll be here and today you're here. I wish I could congratulate all of you in
Yes,
person.
it was the
Um,
discipline.
and it's very saddening to hear that you went through a personal loss. But at the same time, it's also very endearing to know that you did not give up. है ना? इतनी resilience, so much resilience you had that you did not want to give up. And I think this is a reminder to everybody. I often point out as well that all of us have our own struggles, and the struggles everybody will know about when you succeed, right? When you succeed, everybody will want to hear about your struggles. And so it's really, really nice that you have sort of, or you're trying, or you tried to overcome, and then, you worked hard regardless. Now you're talking about your mistakes, but you've cleared. So, congratulations. Wonderful. Next, we'll hear from Sharon.
Yes, ma'am. I also have, ma'am, preparing this not preparing. I have been giving this exam right after my uh, degree, like UG, and then it was a COVID time, and then but still I was wanting to give this exam to understand the patterns at first, and then I have been giving more than 3 times, and I was not even serious that time, and then if I have to say about my biggest mistake is that, ma'am, not attending your classes like subscription in an academy. That was like because I went on asking my friends or my seniors how to prepare for net, and they told me self study. You don't have to rely on anyone. You can just do your own. I was like, okay, maybe that's true. And then I was just following what they told me, and then I even asked my professors, and they said you can do it, like you just have to study, and you can manage, they told me. And then I just believed them like a fool. But then, and then, ma'am, it's a miracle that last year, my for my younger brother, I opened an account, and then I wanted him to study commerce from Unacademy, and then he was not studying at all. He is like so lost in my hometown, and then I was like, oh wait, that means if commerce, if he has a subscription, maybe I can attend ma'am's class, ma'am, because actually I had a financial issue at first to subscribe, but then I told my parents about my brother, and then they accepted. So, and then through his account I have been attending your classes, ma'am. And then I was like fortunate enough to attend your classes finally. It's like it's the biggest like what should I say, a blessing for me. And then my biggest mistake was not joining your classes earlier, so I should say that. And then um and also I've been attending, but then I was not able to clear, but not even that, and my scores were really low, and it's usually around 160s, and then I never crossed beyond that. But this time I was like, I really have to study, and then I just gave my best, and I was just following your like, ma'am, your guide, like whatever you have told us to do. And then finally I cleared, and then I can't believe how I did it. But yes, I got a score from my ST category, 204, from paper 2 136, in paper 1 uh 600 68. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's it.
All right, wonderful. What an adorable story. Such an adorable story. But it's so sweet that you've been so honest. I think, again, this is a concern that many students have as well. I think being able to afford, like, will it work out? Will it not work out? These are very real concerns that many students have. And thank you for speaking about it. Thank you for being very honest. And thank you for saying that. I think a lot of you also later think, मतलब मुझे बहुत बच्चे बोलते हैं मैम पहले ज्वाइन करना था, I wish I had joined earlier. So that is a feeling. I always think that all of us feel that everything we do today we should have done yesterday, but it's okay, you did it and you're here today.
Yes.
And you're cleared, and huge congratulations, huge congratulations. Now I would love to know some specific parts of your preparation and this and that, so that's what we'll go into. I would love to hear about your personal struggles as well. I think, when you present or when you talk about, like, you're a topper or something, you're a statistic. But when people come to know who you really are, you basically become human to other people. People see the human side of you, people see the real side of you. And I would love to know what your real struggles as a student were. Because to me also, I feel, students have a lot that we don't talk about. Like, students deal with a lot of things. Uncertainty hoti hai, pressure hota hai, bahut kuch hota hai. And you guys deal with all of that and still succeed, right? And to me, that resilience is really important, and sending that message to other students also, I think, is very important. So I would love for you to talk about what are some things that you struggled with most. Like, maybe, some students say that making a routine was very difficult for them. Some students will say that I had college classes at the same time, मेरे ये classes भी चल रहे थे, वो classes भी चल रहे थे, मैं क्या करूं? और मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा था. So for you, what were some of the most difficult things to deal with in your preparation? some students also feel overwhelmed. Like, Sanal very clearly said कि I could not do paper one because I was catching up already with so many classes. Then most of you still have a decent score in paper one, right? I don't know what it is. Psychology students are very wary of paper one. बट फिर भी आई वुड लव टू नो कि आपका पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस जो है आपके प्रेपरेशन में सबसे स्ट्रगल आपका किस चीज के साथ था. वाज इट मेंटेनिंग कंसिस्टेंसी और वाज इट लाइक ओ मेरे को प्रैक्टिस में अच्छा नहीं आ रहा है सो आई एम गेटिंग नर्वस, आई एम नॉट रीडिंग द क्वेश्चंस प्रॉपर्ली. व्हाट वाज इट मोस्टली टू यू? टेक टाइम, थिंक आल्सो इफ यू वांट टाइम टू थिंक, एंड देन you can talk about it. And also, how did you deal with it later? Because you did deal with it. So
Ma'am, I would like to really focus on one thing. I had a lot of, as many of your students do, and as you also said, everybody has their own unique personal struggles, right? And so did I. And I was having a very hard time in my personal life. But I really genuinely feel that the easiest and the most enriching thing I could do in my life was study. So in the beginning, I had a bit of a challenge in focusing. Like my span of focus was very limited. My mind was distracted. I would not be focused. I just I was just patient with myself. I promised myself I'm going to watch your videos from beginning to end and I'm going to catch the classes live, because that sort of brought that accountability, and not have that, oh, I can watch it later, because that would feed my procrastination mindset a lot. So the first thing I did was that I'm going to watch your classes starting to beginning. No matter, even if it's an MCQ class and I am not prepared yet in the beginning, I'm going to sit for it. So that, at least that began my stamina to sit for that long. And that helped with the first problem, which was focus. The second that I did see then was I was avoiding questions a lot. And this was a pattern that I caught very early. I would be scared of attempting questions. It will be like, I've seen the video, I know the lesson, I get the concept, but I'm not willing to test myself on it, And that was something that I think made me miss my JRF in that attempt. And that's the mistake that, I mean, I did attempt all the practice courses, the MCQ courses, but there was still that hesitance in me to, not sit for them. And this time when I sat, I said, you can't change something that you cannot track. And you had this given to us so clearly. You said, track your scores in every attempt you give. And that's what I did. I literally have like 2 diaries full, because I was like, I have to do this right. And I love doing it by my hand and, using all the diaries. And my sister was very generous to keep giving me. And I was like, that changed the game for me, really. Like, it was almost an increment of 30 to 40 marks in my performance. And I could see, because I was also keeping a track of the topics I'm getting wrong. So that almost became like my hit list before I could attempt my final exam. But I was like, these topics are what, are my weak points. So this is where I have to give more time, either in revision, maybe I should concept clear. So that these two things of, and also the third thing, which is revision. Once you get into habit of attempting MCQs, then it's almost like an addiction. You want to keep giving like as many, and you forget the revision bit. So, I was like, I don't want to give it a third attempt to then correct this mistake. Like, about time I did get all the, mistakes right in this attempt. So revision was a must. So I almost had a little revision scrapbook. So before bed, I would just, purely depending upon my memory, I'll just scribble in a flowchart form or whatever I have learned in the day. So if I've attended 3 classes in a day and attempted a full length test, then whatever comes to my mind, I'll just scribble that down, whatever I have remembered. So the next day, then I go and then I revise, and I'm like, oh, these things didn't even occur to me that I've studied in that day, and I didn't revise. So this end of the day revision or beginning of the day revision, MCQ, and then going through the topics you're doing wrong again and again. And also facing your fear of sitting and attempting all the PYQs, MCQs, full length tests, and God knows you gave us so much opportunity, unit-wise tests, and whatnot. And it's just, I have like a bank of questions, and I have no one but you to thank for them. And so that was what I could, leverage in this attempt. And I would love for anybody who's listening to this and wanting to attempt this exam to really take it seriously. Like, don't waste another attempt. Like, really take these words to heart.
I know. We're like, but you have to. And people who are just starting, they're like, oh, maybe and we're like, no, but you have to trust me. I've been there. हम कहते हैं हमने तो try किया, अब एक बार please सुनो. So it'll take time, but I think, there's a huge shift. This time I saw that the whole batch worked very hard, even though I used to scold a lot, but I think the whole batch worked very hard. So thank you so much for sharing your honest journey as well. I think it's very important to realize our mistakes, especially with competitive exams. Unless you're willing to fix your mistakes, it doesn't work out. है ना, होता नहीं है जब तक आप अपने गलतियों पे वर्क नहीं करते, जब तक आप अपने बेसिकली वीकनेसेस को समझते नहीं, तब तक कुछ नहीं होने वाला. तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग दैट.
So, one challenge with me, I feel, is that I'm a slow, like I take time to learn things. I'm not a last minute person. So I need a lot of time to do things in depth, thoroughly. That is why I started my preparation like 6-7 months before the exam properly. And one thing that really helped me a lot was that instead of mugging up things, if we focus on like teaching something to ourselves, कि एक concept है, उसको आप अपने आप को समझा रहे हो instead of बार बार उस पेज को पढ़ना and like mug up करना, that really helps a lot. And obviously since like college था and इतना कुछ साथ साथ चल रहा था, so just trying to even take out like time to do 15 MCQs, वो unit wise MCQs कर लिए एक दिन में मैंने, एक दिन एक यूनिट के, किसी दिन एक यूनिट के, when I'm not able to study. So that sort of kept me in check कि at least I'm not skipping on my performance during this time, on my practice during this time, and I'm at least doing something to work in that direction, even if मैं बहुत ज़्यादा time devote नहीं कर पा रही हूँ. Start my semester exams and everything उस time पे. So that helped me a lot. And obviously last में mocks, there is nothing like mocks, that like mocks prepare you for the real exam really really well. And एक challenge mocks के साथ ये रहता है that even if you have attended theory classes, शुरू में होता है कि marks कम आते हैं. Like in my first mock, I had 64 marks out of I think 100, and that really discouraged me. मतलब उसके बाद I did not want to do mocks. I really did not want to do mocks. But by the time I did the first, second, third, fourth, last mock तक आते आते I had 92 marks. So that helped boost my confidence so much कि there is no skipping on MCQs, PYQs, and mocks for paper 2.
एब्सोल्युटली. तो ये आपने एक चीज बहुत अच्छी पॉइंट आउट की कि आप 60 से 90 तक पहुंचे मॉक्स में. दैट्स ओनली बिकॉज व्हेन यू नो वो फियर तो सबका रहता है. सी आई थिंक फियर ऑफ इवैल्यूएशन इज वेरी रियल, वेदर यूर अ चाइल्ड, यूर एन अडल्ट, एनी स्टेज ऑफ योर लाइफ. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी रियल फियर, क्योंकि हम डरते हैं कि अगर नहीं हुआ, राइट. वन ऑफ यू ऑल्सो पॉइंटेड आउट दैट आई नो द थ्योरी, आई नो द थ्योरी, एंड दैट इज इनफ फॉर मी. But the moment I am tested with questions, that assumption will get challenged. And then if I get the question wrong, I will no longer think I know the theory. So thank you so much for pointing out. Again, thank you for being very honest. I really love honesty. You went from 60 to 90, right? And that must have taken a lot of hard work. ये सुनने में कितना अच्छा लगता है, oh my god, यहाँ से वहां चले गए. But that must have taken a lot of remediation, revision, कितना कुछ करना पड़ा होगा. तो wonderful, wonderful, good job.
Ma'am, for me, the biggest, like the challenge initially that I had was the uncertainty. Like like I said, last year I completed my masters, and soon after completing the masters, most of my friends, my classmates, they committed themselves to some kind of job. So most of them got engaged. So there is this always this perception like the male child, they need to take the responsibility sooner. So like I felt like if I commit myself to this preparation, I have only this chance, or I can't. If I don't get, I can't try the next cycle. So there was this uncertainty with me. But I think these are the areas where your close circles, family, they come into the picture. They help. They tell you that no matter you don't worry, you prepare yourselves and hope for the best. So that was one of the challenges. And then, like I said, my preparation was very short. So the discipline that you need, one need to show, like how to manage both papers. The reason I like opted you as my educator was like I was very initially when I started, I was very it was very important for me that I needed conceptual clarity or some conceptual learning. What I felt was that, especially in Kerala, like here the competition is very more in academics. So sometimes it becomes very mechanical. There will be too much of evaluations, exams. It becomes a mechanical process that you lose the love for learning, the fun aspect, like to grasp knowledge, to grasp informations. You lose that fun. Once you start to lose it, it becomes a mechanical thing. Then there won't be no motivation. So I wanted to get that joy of learning again to me. So when I started learning under you, like the first class I attended was the research methodology. It was like gold for me. Like I enjoyed it quite a lot. I took like 1 month of like I'm like a person like even if I finish the class, I would go on to YouTube and search again if I get certain areas very interesting. Like the emergence of psychology parts, the Hinduism and Buddhism, like you gave a lot of clarity and lot of other informations also. So it evoked a kind of interest in me that I would go on to YouTube and I would search and I would get a nice storied animated videos. So I would sit and see these videos. See, eventually it takes the time out of you, but it creates that joy of learning, of grasping informations. That is very important, I feel. And like I said, the managing the time, paper one and paper two, that is more crucial. And I feel like if a person wishes to prepare for the exam, I think he or she should like expect some more time, like take it before. If you are planning like 6 months, you should start even before that, so you could manage the time better.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Again, that was such a beautiful, way of putting it. I think to me, what makes me the happiest is that all of you come to my classes and then all of you like learning. To me, that is more, that matters more than anything else, because this love of learning will not stop, and this passion that you have for the subject, it will continue. And I used to, when I myself was young, I used to laugh when people would say that, don't aim for success, but you just try to enjoy the journey. And I'd be like, yeah, what nonsense are you talking? But now I see all of you talk like this. It's beautiful. Kitni achhi feeling hai ki, to me, it's just so beautiful to know that all of you will go ahead and teach maybe one day, and you will teach with passion. आप जब पढ़ाओगे, आप इस सारे के सारे passion से पढ़ाओगे, and the kids who learn from you and the adults who learn from you will be lucky as well, right? Because I know you will work hard to put in your love for the subject to them. And that is what is really, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Samir.
Ma'am, okay. Uh,
Okay.
One of the hard thing that I find while preparing for this exam was the thing is it was at first really hard for me to stay focused while doing my question practices, especially to like just stay in one place and solve the question for more than
Solve
an
the question.
hour. And then as my yeah, the other friend said, it's I get really bored. And then I was like, at first I didn't understand why, but now I know why. It's I don't have a good concept and theory knowledge regarding that particular topic. And then later on, when I started attending your classes, I got so like it was so enjoying to do the MCQs, the questions and practices. And then I don't even know how the time passes by. And then at first the focus on the question for more than an hour was one of the biggest challenge, and that is why I usually try to just mark it up, anything what I want to mark and see my scores without analyzing it. So but now I have learned what was my weak point and why was I or feeling that way now. So yes, ma'am. And then That is what I can say for now. Yes, ma'am.
हम्म। अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट। तो शैरन कह रही हैं कि पहले जब वो क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ पाती थी, वो क्वेश्चन देख के बोर हो जाती थी या क्वेश्चंस करके बोर हो जाती थी। बाद में उनको समझ आया कि एक्चुअली उनको कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं आता था। शी रियलाइज दैट शी डिड नॉट नो द कॉन्सेप्ट एंड दैट इज व्हाई शी वाज गेटिंग बोर्ड डूइंग द क्वेश्चंस। और जब उनको कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी आ गई, ओके, ऑलराइट। तो अब जब उनको कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी आ गई, शी डिड मच बेटर ऑन द क्वेश्चंस, उन्होंने काफी बेटर परफॉर्म किया, एंड दैट इज हाउ शी वाज एबल टू क्लियर। Wonderful. Thank you all for being honest. We have one question over here which any of you can answer. Chayana is asking, note making is must or just revision properly is enough? क्या notes बनाए या नहीं बनाए? ये सिर्फ बस रिवीजन जो है वो हम कर लें, मतलब पीपीटी से, पीडीएफ से, क्लासेस से।
Ma'am, if you don't mind, if I can, I actually had this in my mind to share because this is something that I probably also a dilemma I had in the beginning because I'm a sort of person who liked making my own notes, right? So when I started taking your classes, तो मैंने देखा कि आप you share your slides and there are such coherent slides and वो अपने आप में काफ़ी हैं, है ना? कि अगर मैं सिर्फ वो पढूं तो I will be able to understand जो आप concept सिखा रहे हो या जो है. I would like to. I also just read the comment. Vinod wanted someone to speak in Hindi, so I'll try to say this in Hindi. Not a problem. Okay. So मैंने मैम जब फर्स्ट टाइम आपका बैच लिया, सो आई व्हाट आई डिड वाज मैंने अपने नोट्स बनाए आपकी क्लासेस के देखते देखते। आई मेड माय नोट्स एंड हाँ, ऐसे होता था कि अगर कुछ रह गया नोट्स में लाइव क्लास में, आई ऑलवेज हैव द ऑप्शन कि मैं आपकी रिकॉर्डेड इसके एनोटेशन वाले नोट्स डाउनलोड कर लूँगी। तो अगर मेरे लाइव सेशन में नोट्स लिखते समय कुछ रह गया तो मैं हमेशा उसमें से फिल इन कर सकती हूँ या चेक कर सकती हूँ। तो ये मेरे फर्स्ट, जब मैंने आपके साथ फर्स्ट टाइम सेशन लिया था, तो दैट्स व्हाट आई डिड आपके फर्स्ट बैच में। सो आई ऑलरेडी हैड लाइक अ गुड कलेक्शन ऑफ माय नोट्स बाय दैट टाइम। तो जब सेकेंड टाइम व्हेन आई डिड एंड आई अगेन सेकेंड टाइम आई डिड नॉट मेक दिस एरर ऑफ सेइंग कि मैंने ऑलरेडी सारी क्लासेस कर ली हैं तो मैं बीच में क्लासेस स्किप करूंगी। आई अटेंडेड ऑल द क्लासेस अगेन, I sincerely, because I think you cannot cheat sincerity. Like that's something I really genuinely believe in after failing a lot of times. So this time when I was studying आपके notes से, I could figure out that yeah, my notes are always there. If there's any new information मैं उसमें हमेशा add कर सकती हूँ. But this is completely an individual decision, I believe. Like what suits you. You also have the opportunity to learn that what is your style of learning in this particular journey. And that I think will take you far, because tomorrow when there are, we have students who we are in an educator capacity, we can understand where that person is coming from कि अपने notes भी बना सकते हैं, and you can probably give it a trial, like do one unit with making notes, maybe like do a little pilot कि what is it, and is it that आप notes बनाने में ही इतने busy हो जाते हो कि आप class में जो चल रहा है वो नहीं grasp कर पा रहे हो, then leave the note making. Then depend completely on the annotated note, because they're absolutely sufficient. In fact, you may miss a lot more while making notes, and I noted wrong things. Tolman's theory I noted in someone else's theory, and I said what a blunder this was, because I saw the annotated notes, because I was like, this is my duty to read the annotated notes, because this is like a resource unparalleled to any other platform. Like this is it's a golden opportunity. So completely relying on notes, I think it's a very intelligent move too, unless you want to, make notes out of it, like distill them, make revision notes out of them, like pointers out of them. Or as I also suggest, do a lot of MCQs after doing annotated notes, do MCQs and then, see the topics you're getting wrong. Maybe you need to make your own notes on that,
True.
focus on those topics particularly. So it's a mix of a lot of things, but completely test it for yourself is what I will say.
Okay, all right. One moment, guys. 1 minute. अच्छा, ओके, चलो ग्रेट। अब क्या करते हैं हम नेक्स्ट, वील एक्चुअली गो अहेड एंड टॉक अबाउट I think I want to also know from all of you that what stood out to you most in your preparation? How did you also balance paper one and paper two eventually? But then, from your preparation, what do you think was the defining feature that took you past the cutoff? आपने जो cutoff clear किया है, वो ना बेसिकली कैसे हो गया in the sense कि what was the most important aspect of your preparation? Let's say maybe I was a student who was really scared of practice, but then when I went ahead and did practice, maybe that is what helped me. Maybe I'm somebody who doesn't retain things very well, so I did revision, or maybe I taught the concept to another friend, or whatever it was that worked out for you. To you in your preparation, what is the one thing you think everybody must do from your point of view? Anybody can start. This time Sharon can start maybe.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Um, yes, ma'am. I believe based on my experience, ma'am, I think yes, practice of the like questions after the clarification of the concepts. That is one of the like practices that helped me really clear this exam this time, because in my previous attempt, I never really attempted my previous PYQs. Nothing. I just went blindly and just gave it. But this time, ma'am, like attending your like MCQs, your the mock test, and all the other PYQs again and again. That really helped me clear the. Sorry for the. Uh, uh, yeah, that really helped me clear this exam. Because and then, ma'am, I can never really forget the like everybody, like my friends, they all of us, they're aware of the discipline, that statement. uh that is really really important. It's still stuck in my head. I think for my, even for tomorrow's coming future also, this discipline is what makes me stay consistent, and help me achieve this like net clearing of the net exam as well. So consistent practice of the questions, and also being disciplined as a student and as a human is also important. Yes.
I think this is very very true. Like मैं भी ये मानती हूँ कि discipline के बगैर कुछ नहीं होगा. Not just this achievement, I think any achievement in life will not really happen without discipline. So I think very important that you pointed it out. Practice तो जरूरी है ही, but consistency and discipline जो है ये main factors. Thank you so much for sharing.
I can I can go next. Okay. So जब मैंने प्रिपेयर करना स्टार्ट किया, आई इंटरेक्टेड विद अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल जिनका जेआरएफ क्लियर हो चुका था. तो मैंने सबसे ये चीज़ पूछी, साइकोलॉजी वाले स्पेशली, कि आपने पेपर वन कैसे प्रिपेयर किया. तो मोस्ट पीपल सेड कि किया ही नहीं, हम पेपर वन ऐसे करके चले जाते थे. लास्ट के 2 वीक्स में देख लिया, या किया ही नहीं बिल्कुल. बट I know that I will get very anxious if I don't study. Like, even if there's a paper, if there's a part of the syllabus that I leave out, I'll get very anxious later on. So वो mistake मैंने नहीं की. So for paper one specifically, मैंने सितंबर में preparation शुरू की थी, so that at least by the time December comes, मैंने सारे topics एक बार touch किए हों. Even if मैंने सब कुछ in depth ना किया हो, there is no topic that I'm leaving out, because there are certain topics that are very scoring. So जैसे मैथ्स हो गया, आईसीटी की न्यूमेरिकल्स हो गए, लॉजिकल रीजनिंग हो गया, ये सारी चीजें अगर आप करना सीख जाओ, लाइक यू नो हाउ टू सॉल्व दीज क्वेश्चंस, you know what the strategies are, what the formulas are, everything related to that, then you can tackle any kind of question that comes around those topics. आईसीटी की न्यूमेरिकल्स पे इस बार क्वेश्चन आया था, पिछली बार भी क्वेश्चन आया था. लॉजिकल रीजनिंग में स्क्वायर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन आता ही आता है. So these are things that you can learn how to solve, and once you learn that, your marks are 100%, you're going to get those marks irrespective of what else comes in paper one, because paper one इतना dynamic होता है, कुछ भी आ सकता है कहीं से भी. सो एक चीज और ये है कि पेपर वन में जितने भी टॉपिक्स हैं उस रिलेटेड अगर कोई करंट अफेयर होता है, सो यू नीड टू स्टे sort of up to date with that, is what I feel. And this is something that really helped me by like not skipping out on paper one and focusing on paper one, especially the numerical aspects of paper one. And DIB is bar was very unpredictable. I also made mistakes in the DI because nobody thought ki upstream downstream de denge, but DI is also something that you can practice and go, because आपकी
Hmm.
speed build up हो जाती है, उससे भी confidence बहुत ज़्यादा आता है. And for paper two, definitely PYQs and starting with your weakest topics is what will keep you going.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive, explanation. I think आपने काफी stress इस पे दिया कि छोड़ना नहीं है कुछ भी. I think this is also another mistake that students make. That no matter how much we say from the beginning कि paper one, paper two दोनों करो. From the beginning, we tell you that you have to do both papers, but a lot of students miss out. In fact, आपको भी पता होगा कि इससे पहले शायद आप भी leave out कर देते थे. For those of you who have given previous attempts, or not doing it fully, just leaving out many units, that will not work out in a competitive exam like this. So thank you for summarizing it for us. I'd love to hear from either of you next.
So I'll same opinion. Like practicing like previous year questions, practicing really helps because you get that keywords. Once you get that keywords, it's easier to solve the question or get the answer. And I'll also give you an instance or example. Like I messed it up big time in the exam. Like I told you, like I didn't prepare very well for paper one. So, but the most of the rote learning part, like the ICT or communication, those I prepared well, and the data interpretation and mathematical reasoning, I knew the formulas, I knew the what equations and all, but I didn't practice it that much because I didn't get that time. So what I felt was when I was attending the exam, there was this kind of mental set, like you are preoccupied with these equations that you won't think logically sometimes. Like sometimes those exact equations won't come or the formulas won't work. So you need to think logically and solve it. So since I didn't practice it too much, like previous year questions, I didn't practice. So those I created that kind of a mental set for me. So it is same with the case of psychology also. You practice more, you get more used to the questions because sometimes you know the theoretical or the conceptual part, but sometimes it's a little application level questions in net. So you need that practice. And also one thing that I tried was my friend was also preparing with me. So I would tell them like ask any doubts to me. Like if you have any doubts, if you don't, please ask me. Just simply you ask me. So I would, if it is a portion that I have covered, I would send them the response like in a voice manner. So I could also revise unconsciously. Like I could also understand that I have covered that part and I have understood that part. If they ask me something which I didn't know how to respond, that which means that I didn't know that I didn't get it conceptually, I didn't understood it fully. So it again and I would again respond to that. So yeah.
So basically, you set up an open challenge, हाँ मेरे को कुछ भी पूछो, ask me anything. Good, 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 good. All right.
I think everyone has covered sufficiently whatever point, So I think at the end of it, like if I have to give something that changed my score, as you said, ma'am, I mentioned it, tracking my scores helped me. Revising every day was literally a game changer because, as you said, nobody wants to feel like you don't know enough, but you have to confront yourself almost at the end of every day to be like, let's just do this once more. Like let's go over it once more. Let's see if there is still something left in this. And I think you start enjoying that process. Like the day doesn't feel complete till the time you've done your revision or you've finished your, like that. You say this so many times in your class, and I think it's so valuable that you have to be able to enjoy the process of working hard. Like that's if you do end your day well with like hard work, it makes you energized for the next day. And this is a long race, like especially if you want to. And there are very sensible people who attempted in the first attempt, and they, we have one amongst us who has done the proper groundwork and
Yeah,
everything. But
yeah.
even then, so if you want to do it in your first attempt, then you have to distill all that hard work that you will do in that for one attempt. Or if you want to do repeatedly, then you have that burden of the past attempts that is always like on your left shoulder, like whispering in your ear, like you might do this again, and then you have to overcome that pattern that you have set of failing again. So that in itself is a work. So I think this following in or taking help, I would really like to emphasize this as somebody who really resisted in taking help. I really opened myself up to the fact that, well, there are professionals such as you out there who have understood this particular exam as exam. And so there's nothing wrong in taking help. So if there are those out there who want to believe that self-study is sufficient, well, good. Because in this also self-study is required. It's not like somebody else will do it for you even in
True,
this. But
true,
you
true,
have to
true.
be able to, have a good framework. And the competition is very high. The quality of the questions and the nature of the exam also changes over a period of time. So there's nothing wrong in taking help. There's professional help, especially that we are psychology students. We also want to promote that there's mental health crisis as well in the country and the world. So you have to look for professionals there also. So why not in education, like. And I really am a big supporter of that now. And I say you may be doing very well in your college and your school, that's very good, but there's nothing wrong in taking some help. And in fact, you might actually join a community such as this, where you actually you can share that experience, and the joy like doubles, I think. And I think Sanal said this, like at 5 a.m. when you got the result, you didn't have, like in the morning when your family woke up and they're like, what kind of a lunatic are you? Like messaging like 5 in the morning to everybody, look at me. So this is the kind of community and the camaraderie you gain out of this. And I think this is like the biggest takeaway for me, for the time that I invested in this, and for the joy I got from this. Oh, I mean, thank you so much.
Very, very beautifully put, I think. I think it's very important to understand where you need support and where you can function without support. I think this is very important as well. And it's very important to put out there, like you said, that it's not bad to take support. Like if you can shorten your preparation duration, and rather than going here and there and everywhere and then coming back to that point, it's better to start from the right points, get there in a short frame of time, and because you have a lot more to do in your life as well. So बात ये है कि आगे जाके, I mean, this is just the stepping stone of your career, बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट सोचते हैं कि बस JRF हो गया हम तो अमर हो गए, life is done, I never have to do anything else. But this is actually the beginning of your career, right? And if you see it like that, you'll be very eager to do it as quickly as you can in a short span of time, if possible, the shortest and the most directed approach. That's not wrong, that's absolutely correct. So lastly, I'll just ask one little thing. If you can give some tips on what to do on exam day, like I would all like you to give different tips. I'll ask you particularly, I think that will make it easier for you. So first I'll ask Mahi, what do you do with difficult questions in the exam? Difficult questions जो होते हैं एग्जाम में, जो बहुत difficult लगते हैं, उनके साथ क्या किया जाए? समझ नहीं आ रहा है क्वेश्चन, क्या किया जाए?
So the moment I opened the paper, वो screen खुली तो paper 1 का DI था first top पे, and that moment I skipped and went to paper 2. I started my paper 2, and the first thing when you see a difficult question is to stop, and you come back to it later. You do all the things everything that you know and you're very very sure of. आपको paper 2 आता है तो पहले आप अच्छे से वो कर लो, या पेपर 1 आपको पहले करना है तो आप वो वाले पार्ट्स कर लो जो आपको आते हैं. And then when you have that confidence and you've attempted a good bit of the paper, you come back to those difficult questions when you have the time. And the thing is that time was a big challenge in this paper because there was a lot of scrolling involved. कि left to right करना है, ऊपर नीचे करना है. The format was very irritating this time. So best is to leave the things जो आपको surety नहीं है to the end and complete the things you know.
Thank you. Good advice. Next, I will ask Sakshi. Sakshi, to do paper one first or to do paper two first? Let's say a student has prepared both and paper two preparation is a little bit better, given it is psychology.
Again, very personal decision. You have to test yourself, and that's what mocks would help you like understand your pattern taking. I'm somebody who have done, I think by 4 attempts I've attempted every combination possible. Like believe me, I did, paper two first and then paper one first and then back and forth. And I know that what works for me is if I'm confident in paper two, I'll handle it. Like I have no doubt about it. But let me get to paper one first. I'll be more relaxed when I'm attempting paper two, when I'm done with paper one. In case there are questions in paper one, which assuredly there will be quite a few that you don't know how to solve, leave them be. Come back to them after you finished your paper two. That's what I did. And in both my successful attempts, like the NET and the JRF, both attempts I did that. I attempted my paper one, did all my 50 questions. And the ones that I was doubtful about, I put it for review. There's always that option, this is great that they give you that option. You can put it for review.
Correct.
Go to paper two, finish your paper two, and then you can, then go through it. Like you will have enough time by then. And then also don't make a mistake of changing the answers to the ones that you've attempted. This is something you said, and I was like, I'm not going to make this mistake because this is where you do make mistakes, like one more, like just pointing that out, red flag, anybody who's taking notes, just remember, don't change your answers. But yeah, if you're not confident or you're not sure, put it for review, go attempt it again, like after you finished all your 150 questions. There's always that relaxed point. I will say what I do on the day is like I'm very singularly focused by then on the exam. This is something I was able to do thanks to my first failed attempt where I sat for the first time, and it was my first computer based test when I sat, and I could hear people do tuck, 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 like that click. And it was almost like it made me nervous where I was like, are they playing solitaire? Like, why are they so fast? Like, why am I so slow? And then then I'm realizing like, your focus narrows down. The more you practice, when you have to practice in your preparation is when you have to practice for the day as well. And I loved it. Like, when the way we would attempt questions in your class or when we would do the mocks, then, you get into that zone. So on the very day, it doesn't just automatically come to you. You have to have spent that time in that zone before so that then you are able to take. And because that you don't know what will come that day. Maybe they asked you to take off your shoes and you didn't wear them right the whole time. Anything can go wrong. You forgot your water bottle, person next to you is coughing constantly. Anything can go on. So you have to work on getting in the zone. Once you get in, do your papers, like questions, as I said, just attempt it once, and whatever is left, come to it again. That was my strategy for it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Good strategy. So next I'll ask Sanal. Sanal, how to manage time? A lot of people will say paper is lengthy, like many of you also said, scrolling. बच्चे कहते हैं कि scroll करने में 2 घंटे चले जाते हैं. All the time goes in scrolling. So how to manage, how much to give to a question max? And typically for one question, how much time to give?
Ma'am, I feel like I had both experiences. Like one experience I didn't qualify. This time I qualified. So what I in the June attempt, what I felt was uh, I I was thinking too much of questions. Like I was taking too much time. Then I heard in one of your classes you said that the first answer that comes to your mind, that is the answer. That is what you know. Rest, it's your mind making up things. So I decided that in this cycle, like I would instantly get the answer and I won't overthink. If you start thinking again and again, you are making a mistake. So I think if you know the concepts well, then you will have time. I feel like that. Like provided the question or the paper must be not too lengthy. If it is too lengthy, then obviously you will have time problems. If it is not, like in this instance, like December cycle, the paper wasn't that lengthy. It had enough time. So I felt like not to try to overthink too much, just stick on to what the basics are, and you will eventually get time. And also I did the paper two first. I think it's all depends on individuals. Like I prefer
Yeah.
first. Like it has more questions. Like we feel like there are 100 questions. or 150 questions. You feel attending that is the most safest option. So I felt like that, and so I attended paper two. Last time I attended the paper one first, and I got stuck in the DI part. Like I was doing too much of calculations, and I wasted a lot of time. So I felt the most safest option was to do the paper two first, and then the paper one.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. It's true. It's a matter of personal preference. Matlab, somebody might do better if they do paper one first. I'm the kind of person who do paper one first, get done with it. मेरे को tension नहीं चाहिए. Some of us like to feel good, so we do psychology first because we need confidence boost, and then we're like, now I can deal with paper one. So individual preferences. Thank you so much for sharing. Lastly, I will ask Sharon. Sharon, for somebody, students often ask that मेरा इससे पहले नहीं हुआ exam. I could not clear before this. And therefore मेरे दिमाग में यही चल रहा था कि इस बार भी नहीं होगा, इस बार भी नहीं होगा. A lot of students say, I did not clear last time, and this time also I couldn't clear. Like, what if I don't clear? What if I don't clear? If you had such thoughts, or if you think a student has such thoughts, what should they do? How to deal with this?
Mm. Ma'am, thank you. That was the thing that was happening to me before, and then, but this time, while I was preparing, my mindset totally changed after attending your classes, and then this time, what I did was like, um, I was having a very high expectation on myself too. I mean, not the very like not the like 300 out of 300, not like that, but something like out of 300, at least I should get like 240. I mean, for me, it's kind of high because I usually don't cross 170. So I was like, this
Ah,
time I should get at least 240 or something like that. So I gave a very high, like a little bit higher expectation. And then as my friend, I forgot his name. Yeah, he he has a very high, dream about like coming up to this kind of interview and talking about how to like how to motivate the other students. So I also had the same mindset in my head, like while I was preparing. I was like, this time I will do it, and I'm going to do it, and I want to be an example, especially for people from my side. And then people from this reserved category, we think that if I get the cutoff score, then that's more than enough. We usually, just because the government has given us this opportunity, a little bit kind of like reservation seat, we tend to like not make the best use of it. But I was like, no, 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 I should not make that reservation limit, make my head limit, but I should go and like high, like fly higher than that. So I should be excelling, and then I should not make myself uh like inferior to any other students. But I have a very high expectation this time. So I was like, at first I think it's important for all the students to really believe in yourself at first of all, and then try to keep your score a little bit higher, and then try to keep your score higher, and then aim for the excellence, I should say, at first. I think if you change your mindset, then I think things will work better for you in your coming preparations. That's what I should say. Yeah. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. I think this is beautiful कि जब आप ऐसे thoughts में हो, तो why don't you challenge that thought saying कि let me achieve my highest. हम अपनी बेस्ट कोशिश करते हैं, बाद में जो हो सो हो. आई थिंक वेरी नाइस पॉइंट दैट यू पुट फॉरवर्ड, दैट यू हैड हाई ड्रीम्स. I think all of you had set very high goals for yourself, and I hope that you continue throughout yourself, throughout your life, to hold very high standards for yourself. I think ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम सभी के सभी जो अभी एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, आप लोग, कि हम अपने लिए ना एक स्टैंडर्ड रखें, स्कोर्स का, परफॉर्मेंस का, पूरी लाइफ भर. And we always aim for, like Sharon said, we aim for excellence. Why wait, or why just think about the cutoff? Why not think about the full score? A full score आने वाला तो नहीं है, पता है. It's not like we're actually, it's not like somebody's waiting outside our door and saying, please full score, ले लो, ले लो. It's not that. Then it doesn't hurt to have big dreams. You should definitely have, even if we fall down. I think they give us courage to get back up. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I think you've displayed great strength in your whole journey. आपने अपनी सारी journey में बहुत strength दिखाई है. I wish you all the best for your future. I will love seeing you have many more successes in your life, and that is what I hope for. We will stay connected. I hope I'll see you, shine even brighter. मेरी उम्मीद है कि आप इससे ज्यादा सक्सेसफुल हो फ्यूचर में, और 5 साल के बाद आपको JRF छोटी अचीवमेंट लगे. I wish for you, that is what I wish. So thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you so much to the audience as well. Thank you for your time, guys. ठीक है.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. That will be it from us. Bye bye.